I'll give a short speech that first of all, you're welcome to your parliament. Thank you for collecting taxes that sustain us and for doing our work generally. Lately, we've not had so much theft in URA. Maybe I thank you for your leadership. I want to attribute it to your leadership. We apologize that we are starting a bit late, or not a bit late. There were issues that were being resolved internally here on how we appreciate your accounts. But thankfully, yes, we are now in agreement in terms of how we appreciate your accounts. The last time we were meant to meet, you did communicate to this parliament that you are not in a position to attend and requested that we reschedule, which we did because the reasons that were given were valid. The reason was that you are attending to a strike that was going on by a section of traders in Kampala. We would want to know how far you went or you moved in resolving not just the strike, but even the reasons that cause our traders to strike. One day I was traveling on the plane with a young man, a young businessman, and he told me, Honorable, this is how we suffer to get money from China. We beg you, tell your colleagues in government not to misuse our taxes because we suffer to get the taxes to where you find them. So we want to hear how far you have moved in averting situations that have perennially affected that industry. The second is that we have been reading the press, both electronic and otherwise, and the reports have been pointing to a spate of resignations that have rocked Uganda Revenue Authority. Why are you a bad employer? Because if the turnover is as we read it, that a number of commissioners have thrown in, I don't know whether they throw in a towel when there are many, or they throw in towels, but that they have abandoned the work. Would you also tell this parliament and the country why you're such a bad employer? When I was growing up, everybody wanted to work with URA. I also thought that when I leave parliament, no, not many years, about 20 years from now, I could get a job with URA. I even went back to school to sharpen my tax skills from the little Mr. Honorable Sibambi gave me. But now I'm getting worried that why did I even go to school, back to school in the first place if URA is such a bad employer? Also tell us about the collection, how you are moving, whether it is still going or it is now going. We should know the performance, then we will come back to this report. Is there anything of a generically similar to what I have raised so that he attends to them at once? That you have colleagues, Honorable Kayondo?
Rain, that's where we are having so many people vacating URA during your reign.
But it would be a reign of terror that
during other reigns,
we studied about.
People were fighting to join URA, but your reign has been characterized by a lot of resignations. You know, when you are having so many resignations, even at our side, we are not safe. That means people are coming to vie for our
to attack us.
For our constituencies. So don't you think you need to align that side? Thank you. I just wanted to add on, Chair.
Okay, on Namaingo.
I come from the islands and they are border islands. And I want to thank URA that you have two service centers in Sigulu and in Hama. But the problem is the boats. You find that the boats that are being used, these people have now abandoned the boats you gave them. They go for wooden boats that are very risky to our men and officers. And then in addition to that, the rate of harassment. Somebody crossing from Kenya with only 3 packets of wheat is impounded. Somebody with the
Who is
cooking oil-
impounded, the person or the wheat?
The wheat is impounded and
And the person is
the
impounded.
cooking oil, sometimes even a kilo of meat is detained. And then also they go ahead and even enter into fishing activities, that somebody with hooks, they impound boats, nets. Is it part of their responsibility actually in the bid to collect taxes? Thank you, Chair.
Are we talking about cross-border traders or we are talking about smugglers? Oh, both. Okay. There's some things I will not carry your cross. Carry it for yourself. I am.
We greatly appreciate this because it is one thing that we would gladly do, just to make sure that we communicate and share the challenges we go through with our leaders to give us the required support. So we greatly appreciate this opportunity, Chair and members. Responding to the specific questions you have asked, Honorable Chair, starting with the issue of traders who were on strike last week, we again would like to appreciate your understanding, allowing to adjourn the meeting to this week. There were mainly 2 broad issues in the interest of time that the traders were not happy with that led them to strike. The first issue, which was a policy issue, they were not happy with some tax rates. And this was specifically the sector of garments and textiles. Although, as you know, Honorable Chair, the Parliament reviewed the tax rate on garments and textiles and revised it downwards this financial year, effective 1st July, by $1 per kilogram. They were still not happy generally with the calculation, the specific rate, calculation of taxes per kilogram, but also they said where it had been reduced was still high. And I think they also had an issue with VAT, the threshold and the rate. So the broad category of their discontent was on the rates of VAT and the textiles tax, import duty on textiles. But the second area, general area of discontent, was on the delay of their goods, which they were attributing to URA. They were saying the customs processes are long and they are causing their shops to run out of stock because their goods have delayed to be delivered. Now, just as a background, Honorable Minister, and so following the strike, the meeting was chaired by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, and it was attended by the Minister for Trade, and URA and UNBS were there as the key stakeholders. So the chair of the meeting was able to call off the strike, and she made 2 promises. One, that the policy issues will be taken to Cabinet and later to Parliament, and see what can be done to ease the weight that the traders were complaining about. But then the issues of administration, the delays at customs, and at UNBS, a tripartite committee was set up, composed of URA, 4 members, CASITA, the traders' representative body, 4 members, and 1 person from UNBS. And this committee was given a week to study the reasons why there are delays and report back. I've just learned this morning that the committee is almost ready with its report, and we hope to submit it to the Right Honorable Prime Minister by the end of this week. And we believe this will bring out the reasons. But now that I have this platform, Honorable Chair, allow me to explain what the traders were calling a delay in the clearance of their goods. We found out in the month of April this year that there was a middle layer between URA and the traders who had given themselves the task of paying taxes on behalf of the small traders who they transport goods for, and they claim or they recover these taxes from the traders. So they consign, they bring these goods under their names. When a container has 30 or 40 or 10 people in groupage cargo, the ideal situation is that once you get here, you deconsolidate these goods back to the actual owners, and the owners pay their own taxes. That gives them a chance to interact with URA directly. It gives them a chance to be fairly assessed. So there is no room for extortion. It gives them a chance to know where their goods are. Because when you are the registered consignee and we have your contact, you track your goods. When they're in Mombasa, you are aware. When they reach which bond, you are aware. When they are ready for verification, you are invited. But now, by this bad practice of someone claiming to be the owner of the goods, whereas they are not, their title is called container leaders. This middle layer was by container leaders. This practice was one, cutting off the actual traders from the information. These container leaders, the way they make their money is that they must either overcharge the taxpayers and make a difference, or they must cheat government and pay less and still make a difference, because there is no one who does such a job for no income. So their income either comes from cheating government or from cheating traders. Now, in April, we discovered that there was a lot of hemorrhage on the side of government. We are losing a lot. But also we discovered that a lot of traders were being exploited. So we stopped that practice, and we insisted, we said, going forward, if you're going to bring goods in a groupage container, once you get here, deconsolidate, because we have registered consolidators and they do that job and they get paid for it. But their role is just to transport cargo, get it here, give it back to the owners at a small fee, and let the owners take their goods. So we insisted on that, and indeed, once we put a stop, we saw a very significant increase in the collections of customs. But also, we were able to discover that a lot of containers were with us because those container leaders had abandoned them to us after they were caught making those maneuvers of either under-declaring or misdeclaring. So we've been doing a cleanup job to stop that bad practice. And I think as a reaction, these container leaders decided to leave some where they were. So I'm told hundreds of stuck in Mombasa. The owners don't know where they are because they are not registered consignees. Damage. And this damage, they will charge it from the owners of goods. So this committee will give us a report, but so far, the findings and what we knew even before setting up the committee, the delays were a result of container leaders taking the role of the actual traders, wanting to pay taxes on them, for them, of course, at a profit. And that is a battle we are fighting, and we hope we'll be able to clean it back to normal. Let traders be traders, let transporters be transporters, let there be a direct relationship between URA and the traders. Otherwise, these people had taken the mandate of URA of assessing and collecting tax, and they are causing a distortion. So, Chair, that is what I can comment on that issue, and I hope the report will give us more details.
Before you leave it,
yes.
Where does this leave the person called the clearing agent? In this groupage thing, or where you have container leaders?
The clearing agent, the role of the clearing agent, Honorable Chair, is to represent the owner of goods in handling customs processes. So they capture entries on behalf of the taxpayer. So their role is slightly different. But again, there is a relationship between a container leader and a clearing agent, especially in uttering false documents and under declaring. So true, this battle also has dragged in some clearing agents who are unprofessional because they now focus on how can we cut corners to make a difference for this middleman. So in a way they are related, but the professional clearing agents, their role is clear. They should represent the trader or the owner of the goods and charge a small fee also for that service, not to benefit from under declaring. So the cleanup job, which has really yielded results because we registered an increase of about 20 billion on a daily in customs collection for the months of May and June. So it is something that we are ready to follow through until it is completely streamlined.
Leave that. I'm concerned about these containers that are stuck in Mombasa now. One, either the traders will lose, or eventually, when they fail to show up and claim them, you resort to auctioning. Even then, you will get less.
Absolutely.
Because having suffered damage, before you get them out, you pay. What options are available?
The good thing that came out of this strike, the traders have now known where the actual delay is. They have known it's not customs holding their goods. It is the people they entrusted their goods with who have caused these delays. I'm reliably informed they have now put pressure on these container leaders to deliver their goods here. Now the container leaders are struggling with getting money to pay damage, but of course they will charge it from the traders. And as far as URA is concerned, we have told them, one, we shall not auction those goods because we know the mistakes is not for the trader. We have told them that those who come as traders, the owners of the goods, we will release their goods to them by paying the tax without penalty or interest. Because these ones would automatically attract penalty and interest because they were already under declared. These people had already changed the parking list to dodge taxes. So we've said as long as it is the owner of the goods coming, and as long as these goods were shipped before we stopped this process, because during the meetings with the traders, we also agreed on a date when we shall stop penalties. So as long as these goods were shipped before the 16th of June, we will not penalize them. We will give them to the owners without penalty or interest. So, and it is beginning to work out. We are seeing individuals come to clear goods now under the individual house bills, and they are taking them without penalty. Yeah.
Chair. Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I find legal issues. One, the law of contract. Those so-called container leaders talk to us, and they have been very convenient because when you have like two bales from China, they are inland freight charges, there are container charges, so you are not in position to come up with a container to Mombasa and Kampala. And this habit has been going on for the last 4 or 5 years, and you have been watching. There was never been any protection of the common trader, the ordinary trader, a lady or a gentleman in Chikubo. They are not in position to actually handle even issues to do with clearing agents. So I think it is your duty to sensitize people that they can come up with groupage, but individual consignments. They are registered in your names. Recently I came up with the T-shirts and bales. I could not bring those T-shirts here because I'm a small trader. So you have to protect the small trader and those who are in position to come up with the containers at that level. Then two, if I've discussed with my client as a container leader, I've not breached any law. Issues of under estimate and cheating government, it falls within your docket. You have to handle your officers involved to ensure that at least the entire container does not cheat government, not the trader. And you also have no jurisdiction to handle individual consignments which are in under one bill of lading in the names of a container leader. So if I come and I pay for these goods directly, what evidence do you have that this is the actual owner? So there are really some issues which you have.
Honorable Swambi, you're right on the face of it. But what happens where there is a claimant who comes up and says, I gave so and so my money
Yes, assignment.
to pay my taxes so I can get my goods out. My goods are not out. What you're saying is the ideal situation.
Yes, I agree.
Because somebody has been paid. If somebody goes and clears the taxes to the rate and in time, there will be no complaint. But now here there is a strike.
Chair, what is happening practically, that this container is consigned in the names of Yusuf Sibambi. Details about the parking list, etc., is not indicated anywhere.
That's true.
That Yusuf Sibambi has an arrangement, whether unfair, with the other traders. And these people, the URA, the DG and the team, this habit has been going on. We have been cheated and you have been looking on. And you have the way of sensitizing people that make sure that in the parking list, maybe your name is what? Indicated. Then the other issue last day, Mr. Chair, where we need clarification. When it comes to Mombasa, the DG has no jurisdiction and control. So at that level, those containers in Mombasa actually were paying demurrage to the extent that you even pay beyond what is consigned to Kampala. What efforts have you undertaken with your colleagues in Mombasa to ensure that these people don't just auction those containers in Mombasa? They will be auctioned because they're incurring demurrage and other costs and freight charges and container charges. It's a complex situation, specifically for the small trader.
Okay, please respond to that, especially the legal question.
Thank you.
Supposing at some point
The person that is declared on the documents as the consignee is the owner of the goods. And you are right also to say that this practice has been going on for probably a very long time. And this is because we didn't know about it. Because where the person who is being exploited has not complained, it was difficult to know that this container manifested in the names of Honorable Sibambi is actually his in totality, or the goods in there belong to 50 traders. The only chance that happened that helped us to know is when that extortion, the charges became too high, and people were constantly complaining about the increase in taxes where URA had not changed any tax rates. The other thing that brought this out is when those container leaders were caught in the act of trying to underdeclare and they were penalized, many times they would abandon the goods. So you see a container not being cleared out of your system, the so-called consignees not responding to the emails to come and clear the goods, and they don't seem bothered. That's when we actually discovered that they are not bothered because the goods do not belong to them. And so we started an investigation that brought out the whole truth. And at the end of the day, we found that the trader is losing, the government is losing, and the container leader is benefiting at the detriment of the two. So we will not use force to take away the goods from the container leaders, but we are saying we have grounds to take you on legally. One, they utter false documents. It is an offense to give us documents that are not true. They manufacture these parking lists here, they conceal the original ones. Invoices are manufactured here, but even to claim to be the owner of the good whereas not is not legal. But also, now that the traders know where the problem is, they should be fighting to have their goods back. So we have invited them, come to us, tell us if you have goods. Of course, they don't even know which container numbers they are because they didn't pack them in the first place. But as long as they tell us they have goods which are stuck somewhere, we will help them investigate backwards to know where could these goods be. But they are also free to open cases against the container leaders who are now delaying them and not delivering their goods. And I think that pressure is causing them to respond because, as I've mentioned, we are seeing goods that were left in Mombasa being cleared, at least closer. And we think even those that were here in the bonds, we are seeing people being given individual house bills now to start clearing the goods on their own. The other part of the question was on the damage. Yes, you're right. We do not have control over the accumulation of damage, be it in Mombasa or the private bonds here. The only arrangement we have worked out with the Kenya Revenue Authority is that they will not auction Ugandan bound goods without our involvement. The money that bought those goods is from this economy, and we have agreed that although the port is in Kenya or in Dar es Salaam, URA will participate in the auctioning of the goods. And we've asked them to stay that auctioning until we sort out this issue with the traders. But the damage costs, we don't have much of a say. Whoever delayed those goods there will have to find money to pay the damage and rescue the goods. Chair, allow me now to comment on the other two issues quickly. The recent resignations at URA. Honorable Chair, I think the news in the media are not very accurate, as we have only had one commissioner who has resigned recently. And she has gone for greener pastures. And even in the past, the people that live at that level, they're always going for greener or better pastures. So we have allowed our Commissioner for Domestic Taxes to move on, and we wish her well because she has gone for a better opportunity as a partner in one of the big fours. And in their career, I think that is the highest achievement one can make. But maybe, Chair, what could be confused with resignations, it's true we have lost a number of staff at different ranks, and the majority of those we have lost is because of the issues of weeding corruption out of the institution. So while we clean the issue of traders and these container leaders, they are also to some extent facilitated by our own officers. And those that we find culpable, unfortunately, the only punishment for corruption in our organization is termination. So we have lost a number of different ranks of staff due to the vice of corruption, and that one we think we will stabilize when we start moving together as an institution, not tolerating any corruption. But again, the others who leave, it's either because of age or it's because of better opportunities elsewhere. So there is no mass exodus and there is no reign of terror that is causing people to leave. I would like to clarify that, Chair. Now, the last one, sir, how are we doing on the collections, the revenues? Honorable Chair and members, we completed the last financial year with a good performance. We were able to collect 262 billion above the target. The target was 31.6 trillion, and we exceeded that by about 262 billion. We thank you for your support as Parliament, and we thank our taxpayers for supporting us to achieve that number. We've started the financial year now 2 months. The targets are a bit high, but we are trying our best. We are slightly below the number in the 2 months, the expected number, but we are working around, and as you know, we hope and we are sure we will recover to achieve the new target of 30 almost 37 trillion, which we are looking for in this financial year. So we continue to thank you for your support and the support of our taxpayers as we achieve this. And then finally, sir, the question from Honorable.
Out, we keep on borrowing. What target is that? That cannot accommodate what is forcing us to borrow.
To 1 or 37. In your budget, you are saying we shall borrow this from so and so. And then you say we shall also receive some support from development partners. If you tell him to collect 50, the businesses in Chikubo will collapse because he's not going to sell his cows. I hope he has some cows. He has very few. You need to also get into these short ones because they multiply very fast. So, what do you expect? But sir, carry across, explain. Why are we borrowing?
I just remember that last year we experienced many strikes, especially to do with the IFRS system. Maybe you can brief us the status now, and also to inform you that I have been visiting Friends Supermarket in Chira, and I normally present my TIN number for a taxi receipt. But normally they tell me you'll see the girls on the computer trying to, it's like as if they're feeding in, and finally they tell you, it is fading. And I have tried it over and over again. I don't know what could be the problem. Is it intentional? Is it one way of someone avoiding to pay taxes? Because some of the players in the supermarket industry complain. Some of them are closing their supermarkets. They are not breaking even because of taxes. And then we see other businesses, especially in the supermarket industry. Of course, for them, they are doing well. Maybe this could be one of the reasons that for them, they know how to avoid the taxes, and yet the others are paying taxes.
I also really go to hardware shops. These Indians, I am in real estate. When you go there, they ask you, what type of receipt do you want? A paper one or an invoice through the system? So that one is also an issue related to what.
And when you answer how,
I go
what
in
is
for
their
the
response?
one of taxes. They say it inconveniences them, and in addition to that, they even charge higher. So most people who don't want to pay taxes connive with them and say, write on paper and give me just a cheat. I don't know whether there is a way you can block this related to what my colleague in supermarkets also.
Okay. Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Kubo traders in Kampala are also complaining about these foreigners in these shops, specifically the Chinese, selling commodities at.
Let's stick to foreigners without profiling them.
Foreigners, them selling goods at a low rates, low costs, meaning the local traders, they are being affected, and it's one of the reasons why even they are striking, or one of the grievances, the problems they're facing. Who license these people? So that we can understand this, because it is affecting our traders locally. Thank you.
It be
Surpassing
the target.
the target. I get mixed feelings whether I should smile whether I should congratulate him or I should pin him more.
Or you should cry
Mr.
for
Musinguzi.
repair.
Do you know how many traders, how many business people, how many contractors are going back home, are rolling off businesses because of the unfair assessments, because of the third-party agencies, simply because you want to achieve the targets? Those are the targets that are leading people to rap. Chair, URA has been the reason as to why so many businesses are closing. They have a system of having background information on any person, but they can give you an assessment of 200 million. And the system to challenge that assessment is so complicated. And the moment those are they 45 days collapses, that assessment becomes real. And it becomes part of the principle. And that's the money you get to achieve the targets. I started a company when I just from university. Chair, if I can tell you what I went through with URA, I cursed being a Ugandan. I cursed. Chair, URA can be having, you can be having.
Why didn't you bewitch him?
You can be having a principal tax of 50 million. When you add the penalties, the interests, and what have you, it can count 500 million. But the principal is just 50 million. And then they achieve the target. Simply because of that blood money. Mr. Musinguzi, you know, I feel bad because I've been a victim.
I've allowed you to vent out.
I know, I've been a victim with URA.
What is your question,
Chair.
Honourable Member?
Chair, I want to talk about the assessments. I'm not happy. I'm not happy that the commissioner for domestic is that because I've been in that side. You come, you put an agency notice on somebody's account, on somebody's employer. Somebody has gotten a loan from the bank. You put an agent, reversing an agency notice. You can sweat plasma. URA collects all that money. And so many businesses fail. Banks take people's property. And Mr. Musinguzi is here saying we achieved the target.
He's here because you invited him.
After people, no, he's
He
here
achieved
claiming
the
that.
targets because you set the target.
So, Mr. Musinguzi, are you comfortable achieving target after draining out people's blood, after those businesses collapsing? Two,
Blood is metaphoric.
to Mr. Musinguzi, I'm asking.
Okay, it's a point of procedure. It takes precedence. Let's listen.
It's a point of
Honourable Kablindi, don't argue with
the
people.
way my colleagues is addressing Mr. Musinguzi, but to me I know it is the system of URA. It is like personalizing somebody. That's why I wanted to say.
So how did you want him to address him? No, Mr. Musinguzi represents URA. Actually, in English, the phrase is, in English, the phrase is that he's the ugly face of the monster. So, like I did say, he will carry his cross. Honorable Kayondo is expressing the frustration of many. I almost restrained him because I also have some knowledge as to why the law was made that way. But I know that there are those individual or isolated cases of excesses. Why we made the law that way is that because tax is not voluntary. When you make it voluntary, we will not pay. Or many will not pay. So I only want Mr. Musinguzi to respond to the issues of the mode of collection. Yes, we gave you that law, but we also gave you the discretion in that law. He will address us on the discretion on penalties, on interest, how 50 million accumulates or skyrockets into 500 million. Honorable Kavlindi, ruling on your procedural question, therefore, we are proceeding well by allowing a member to vent out. Remember, I even used the word vent out. Yeah. Proceed, Honorable Kayondo.
Then, Chair, maybe we have here. How comes you can bring such abnormal assessments on people? And then after you make those abnormal assessments to form part of the principle. Is that real fair? Then to Mr. Musingzi, why don't you? Eh? Okay. Mr. Musingzi, I'm part of the rectangle doing. Mr. Musingzi, why don't you cap? What stops you from capping the interest and penalties?
You want him to amend the law?
No, it's, I want him to come to that law where it allows penalties and interests exceeding the principle.
He will give it to you because it exists.
Then lastly, Chair, there is a system of alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
Mr. Musingus, you've used that to exploit us.
Mm-hmm.
I've faced it and it is not yielding. Please check it out. And accepting you to reach that level. Because after your assessment being rejected, that's why you have to run it too. That's why you have to alternative dispute.
Okay. Honorable now make a
Thank you.